What do you do when your friends dare you to spend the night in a haunted house? Do you run away? No way. You don't let a little thing like ghosts stop you from having fun. You accept the dare, of course, because that's what friends are for, right? It was an overcast evening when two kids named Liam and Josh decided to sneak into the Old Ravenswood Hotel, a place the town whispered about, but no one dared to enter. The place looked like something out of a Stephen King novel, dilapidated and decaying. But the two boys didn't care. All they could think about was how cool it would be to spend the night there. The moment they pushed through the rotting front doors, the air grew heavy, thick with the scent of decay and dust. Chandeliers hung crooked from the ceiling, casting long, eerie shadows on the floor. The floorboards groaned under their weight, making it feel like the building itself was alive and watching them. Each step echoed in the oppressive silence, amplifying their heartbeat. They ventured deeper into the lobby, their eyes adjusting to the dim light filtering in through grimy windows. Cobwebs brushed against their faces as they passed, and with every rustle, they jumped, their laughter nervous. Their flashlights cut through the darkness, revealing more horrors with every beam. Furniture lay overturned as if abandoned in a hurry, and paintings hung askew on the walls. One portrait seemed to stare at them with accusing eyes. Its subject a stern-faced woman in a Victorian nightgown. But they weren't scared, not yet anyway. Armed with Liam's phone, they filmed everything, their bravado returning as they made goofy faces at the camera. The lobby was a grand space, though, with ornate moldings and a sweeping staircase spiraling upwards into darkness. It was beautiful in a haunting way. And then there was the music box. It sat on a side table, its melody a distorted lullaby. Josh dared Liam to wind it up, and Liam, despite his trembling hands, did it. The first notes rang out, discordant and off-key. Then, abruptly, the music stopped. Both boys jumped as if startled by a gunshot. Let's just get out of here, Liam said, his voice uncharacteristically high. He was the brave one of the two, or at least he tried to be. Josh nodded, swallowing hard. They needed to get out of this place. It was suffocating them with its oppressive atmosphere. As they retraced their steps, the floorboards moaned around them, whispering tales of the past. They didn't dare speak, not wanting to break the silence. But the silence wasn't comfortable. It pressed against them, heavy and expectant. The stench of decay intensified as they moved through the labyrinthine halls, each turn revealing more debris, more relics of a life long gone. Wallpaper peeled from the walls, revealing the dark, rotting wood beneath. The air grew colder, too, causing goosebumps to rise on their arms. They didn't find any other people, only empty rooms with vacant eyes staring out from the darkness. They were alone, utterly alone in this crumbling monument of forgotten memories. But they didn't stay alone for long. In the midst of their flight, they heard it, footsteps echoing down the hallway. Heavy, deliberate steps that sent shivers down their spines. They turned to flee, but where to go? All the rooms they passed had the same musty smell of neglect and dust. There was nowhere to hide. Then they saw it, a room with a flickering light spilling out from beneath the door. A beacon of hope in the oppressive darkness. They raced towards it, their breath coming in ragged gasps. Bursting through the door, they stumbled into a sight that made their blood run cold. Standing in the middle of the room was a tall, gaunt figure with hollow eyes that seemed to burn into their souls. It was a man, or at least what was left of one. His skin was stretched tight over his bones, and his clothes hung in rags on his emaciated frame. He was the embodiment of despair. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the expression on his face, the vacant, soulless stare that spoke of unimaginable torment. He wasn't just any ghost, they realized with a jolt. He was a tortured soul, forever trapped in this accursed place. Terror propelled them forward. They had to get out, escape this room, escape this house. They ran blindly through the halls, past peeling wallpaper and creaking doors. Desperate to put as much distance between themselves and the ghastly specter as possible, their breaths were ragged, their hearts pounding against their ribs like frantic birds trying to escape their cages. They could hear the ghost behind them, his footsteps echoing their own, a macabre dance of death. Suddenly, Liam remembered the front door. It wasn't far now. Just a few more steps and they'd be free of this haunted hell. But the ghost was gaining on them, his presence a suffocating cloud at their backs. They burst through the front doors, stumbling into the night as if escaping a funeral pyre. The cool night air filled their lungs, bringing with it a rush of relief, of gratitude, of life. They didn't stop running until they were far from Ravenswood, until their breaths had calmed and their heartbeats had slowed. Only then did they allow themselves to look back. They could see the house silhouetted against the darkening sky, its windows like vacant eyes staring into their souls. A shiver ran down their spines and they vowed never to return. Back in the safety of Liam's room, they recounted their harrowing tale, their voices shaking with residual fear. The memory of the ghosts still fresh in their minds, they agreed that nothing, absolutely nothing, would convince them to set foot in that house again. But when Liam pulled out his phone to delete the video, his face drained of color. Every second of footage was intact, untouched, showing the two of them exploring the mansion, their laughter echoing mockingly in the silent room. But that wasn't the most disturbing part. Behind them in every frame was a tall, hollow-eyed figure in the shadows. At first it was subtle, a fleeting glimpse of a gaunt face or the edge of a tattered robe. But as the video progressed, the figure became more prominent. In some frames, it loomed closer, its eyes burning with an eerie light. In others, it reached out a skeletal hand as if to grab them, its fingers long and bony like the limbs of a spider. They watched in numb terror as the ghost moved closer, its presence growing more solid, more real. But it wasn't their screams or their terror that made the video truly horrifying. The last clip, the one taken just before they ran outside, wasn't of them at all. It was recorded from the hotel's lobby. The camera pointed at the front doors, and it showed Liam and Josh running out, their faces pale with fear, their movements frantic. But the doors never opened. The ghost stood in the middle of the room, its eyes fixed on the doors, waiting patiently. It took a step forward, then another, and the image flickered. Then the screen went black. They stared at the phone, their faces ashen, their eyes wide with terror. The implications of what they had just seen were clear. They had trespassed into the realm of the dead. They had mocked the spirits and now they were paying the price. The ghost wasn't just a figment of their imagination. He was real as the decaying grandeur that surrounded him. And he wasn't content to let them go so easily. They tried to erase the video to pretend that it had never happened, but the damage was done. The ghost was aware of their presence and he wouldn't rest until he had made them pay. Now, whenever they hear a floorboard creak or a door slam, they shudder. For they know that the ghost is waiting, watching, planning his next move. And they can't help but wonder how much time they have left before he claims them for good.